Of course, Bjornstrand feels that there's really almost no hope, and that we're probably going back to a very savage, lawless, terrifying period. Findhorn people see it a little differently. They're feeling that there'll be these pockets of light springing up in different parts of the world, and that these will be, in a way, invisible planets on this planet. And that as we, or the world, grow colder, we can take invisible space journeys to these different planets, refuel for what it is we need to do on the planet itself, and come back. And it's their feeling that there have to be centers now where people can come and reconstruct a new future for the world. And when I was talking to Gustav Bjornstrand, he was saying that actually these centers are growing up everywhere now. And that what they're trying to do, which is what Findhorn was trying to do, and in a way, what I was trying to do. I mean, these things can't be given names, but in a way, these are all attempts at creating a new kind of school or a new kind of monastery. And Bjornstrand talks about the concept of reserves, islands of safety, where history can be remembered and the human being can continue to function in order to maintain the species through a dark age. In other words, we're talking about an underground, which did exist in a different way during the Dark Ages among the mystical orders of the Church. And the purpose of this underground is to find out how to preserve the light, life, the culture, how to keep things living. You see, I keep thinking that what we need is a new language, a language of the heart. Languages in the Polish forest where language wasn't needed. Some kind of language between people that is a new kind of poetry. That's the poetry of the dancing bee that tells us where the honey is. And I think that in order to create that language, you're going to have to learn how you can go through a looking glass into another kind of perception where you have that sense of being united to all things, and suddenly you understand everything.
Are you ready for some dessert?
I think I'll just have an espresso. Thank you.
I'll also have one. Thank you. And could I also have an amaretto?
Certainly, sir.
Thank you.
You see, Wally, there's this incredible building that they built at Findhorn. The man who designed it had never designed anything in his life. He wrote children's books. And some people wanted it to be a sort of hall of meditation, and others wanted it to be a kind of lecture hall. But the psychic part of the community wanted it to serve another function as well, because they wanted it to be a kind of spaceship which at night could rise up and let the UFOs know that this was a safe place to land and that they would find friends there. So the problem was, because it needed a massive kind of roof, was how to have a roof that would stay on the building, but at the same time be able to fly up at night and meet the flying saucers. So the architect meditated and meditated, and he finally came up with the very simple solution of not actually joining the roof to the building, which means that it should fall off, because they have great gales up in northern Scotland. So to keep it from falling off, he got beach stones from the beach, or we did, because I worked on this building, all up and down the roof, just like that. And the idea was that the energy that would flow from stone to stone would be so strong, you see, that it would keep the roof down under any conditions, but at the same time, if the roof needed to go up, it'd be light enough to go up. Well, it works, you see. Now, architects don't know why it works, and it shouldn't work, because it should fall off, but it works. It does work. The gales blow and the roof should fall off, but it doesn't fall off.
Yep. Well, do you want to know my actual response to all this? I mean, do you want to hear my actual response?
Yes.
See, my actual response, I mean, I'm just trying to survive, you know? I mean, I'm just trying to earn a living, just trying to pay my rent and my bills. I mean, I live my life. I enjoy staying home with Debbie. I'm reading Charlton Heston's autobiography, and that's that. I mean, occasionally, maybe, Debbie and I will step outside. We'll go to a party or something, and if I can occasionally get my little talent together and write a little play, well, then that's just wonderful. And I mean, I enjoy reading about other little plays people have written and reading the reviews of those plays and what people said about them and what people said about what people said. And I mean, I have a list of errands and responsibilities that I keep in a notebook. I enjoy going through the notebook, carrying out the responsibilities, doing the errands, then crossing them off the list. And I mean, I just don't know how anybody could enjoy anything more than I enjoy reading Charlton Heston's autobiography, or, getting up in the morning and having the cup of cold coffee that's been waiting for me all night, still there for me to drink in the morning, and no cockroach or fly has died in it overnight. I mean, I'm just so thrilled when I get up and I see that coffee there just the way I wanted it. I mean, I just can't imagine how anybody could enjoy something else any more than that. I mean, obviously, if there is a dead cockroach in it, well, then I just have a feeling of disappointment, and I'm sad. But I mean, I just don't think I feel the need for anything more than all this. Whereas, you seem to be saying that it's inconceivable that anybody could be having a meaningful life today, and everyone is totally destroyed, and then we all need to live in these outposts. But I mean, I just can't believe, even for you. I mean, don't you find, isn't it pleasant just to get up in the morning and there's Chiquita, there are the children, the Times is delivered, you can read it. I mean, maybe you'll direct a play, maybe you won't direct a play, but forget about the play that you may or may not direct. Why is it necessary why not lean back and just enjoy these details? I mean, and there'd be a delicious cup of coffee and a piece of coffee cake. I mean, why is it necessary to have more than this, or to even think about having more than this? I mean, I don't really know what you're talking about. I mean, I know what you're talking about. I don't really know what you're talking about. And I mean, even if I were to totally agree with you, and even if I were to accept the idea that there's just no way for anybody to have personal happiness now, well, I still couldn't accept the idea that the way to make life wonderful would be to just totally, reject Western civilization and fall back into some kind of belief in some kind of weird something. I mean, I don't even know how to begin talking about this, but, in the Middle Ages, before the arrival of scientific thinking as we know it today, well, people could believe anything. Anything could be true. The statue of the Virgin Mary could speak or bleed or whatever it was. But the wonderful thing that happened was that then, in the development of science in the Western world, well, certain things did come slowly to be known and understood. I mean, obviously all ideas in science are constantly being revised. I mean, that's the whole point. But we do at least know that the universe has some shape and order, and that, trees do not turn into people or goddesses. And there are very good reasons why they don't, and you can't just believe absolutely anything. Whereas the things that you're talking about, I mean, you found the handprint in the book, and there were 3 Andres and 1 Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, and to me that is a coincidence. But and then the people who put that book together, well, they had their own reasons for putting it together. But to you it was significant, as if that book had been written 40 years ago so that you would see it, as if it was planned for you in a way. I mean, really, all right, let's say, if I get a fortune cookie in a Chinese restaurant, of course, even I have a tendency, of course, I would hardly throw it out. I read it, and I just instinctively sort of, if it says something like conversation with a dark-haired man will be very important for you, well, I just instinctively think, who do I know who has dark hair? Did we have a conversation? What did we talk about? In other words, there's something in me that makes me read it, and I instinctively interpret it as if it were an omen of the future, but in my conscious opinion, which is so fundamental to my whole view of life, I would just have to change totally to not have this opinion. In my conscious opinion, this is simply something that was written in the cookie factory several years ago and in no way refers to me.